The letter is dated the 5th day before the Ides of September, in the 9th year of the Common Era. It is written on a scrap of waxed linen, the ink smudged by rain, and the trembling hand of a man who has just watched 3 legions bleed. The sender is Lucius Valerius Cordus, a junior tribune of the 17th Legion. He is alive. We do not have his letter in our world. In our world, the 17th, 18th, and 19th legions were obliterated in the Teutoburg Forest. Their eagles were dragged through marshes, their standards nailed to sacred groves, their bones bleached in the mud for decades. But in this letter, Lucius writes of a different ending. The legions did not march into the trap. Varus, the governor, had been warned by a loyal auxiliary who betrayed Arminius. The column halted on the edge of the Calcrisa hill, and the spears met the trees before the trees met the spears. The ambush collapsed. The battle lasted 3 days. Thousands of Germanic warriors died in the rain. Arminius escaped into the northern forests, but his coalition fractured. By the end of the month, the legions had pushed beyond the Weser River, burning villages and taking hostages. Lucius writes that he watched a centurion cut down a bear totem with a gladius. He writes that the ground smelled of wet wool and iron. He writes that he will be home by winter. He never returned. Not because he died, but because there was no home to return to. Rome had a new frontier. Within a decade, the Roman army had built a network of forts from the Rhine to the Elbe. Not the temporary palisades of expansionist campaigns, but stone-walled castra with hypocausts and aqueducts. The legions dug in, roads pushed north. The Via Germanica ran straight through the Teutoburg Forest, paved with basalt slabs that still lie beneath the soil today. Markets followed the roads, and with the markets came Latin. The Cherusci, the Chatti, the Bructeri, their children were taken as hostages and educated in Roman schools. They learned Virgil before their own sagas. They wrote their names with Latin letters. A generation of Germanic elites began to speak a new tongue, a blend of their own guttural roots and the polished syllables of the Forum. By the year 50 CE, the governor of Germania Inferior was a man named Sigimerus Romanus, born to a Cheruscan chieftain and a Roman senatorial daughter. His father had fought at Teutoburg on the losing side. History writes itself on the bones of the defeated. Now come the decades. The 1st century gives way to the 2nd. The Roman Empire absorbs Germania Magna, not as a client state, but as provinces, Germania Prima, Secunda, and Tertia. The Rhine and Danube cease to be borders. They become internal rivers. The legions shift eastward to the Vistula and the Carpathians. The Marcomanni Wars that crippled Rome in our timeline never happen because the Marcomanni have become Roman. Their young men join the auxilia. Their chieftains sit in the Senate. Their gods are renamed and assimilated. Wodan becomes Mercury. Donna becomes Jupiter. The world tree grows marble roots. And here is the strange inheritance. Without the endless drain of Germanic campaigns, the Western Roman Empire does not bleed out in the 4th and 5th centuries. The Visigoths never cross the Danube in force, because the Danube is not a frontier they can reach, not without crossing Roman Germania first. The Huns arrive in the 370 s, but they find a unified, fortified Rome that stretches from Britain to the Black Sea, its spine strengthened by Germanic steel and manpower. The Huns are repelled. The Visigoths are settled as federates in Germania Tersa, not in Hispania. The Vandals never reach Africa. The West does not fall. By the year 500 CE, the empire has become something new. Emperor Magnus Germanicus, descended from both Italian aristocrats and Cheruscan war chiefs, rules from Trier, not Rome. The capital shifted north because the wealth shifted north. The amber roads, the silver mines of the Harz, the iron of Noricum, the grain of the Vistula Delta, all flowed through Germania. The old Mediterranean provinces became quiet agricultural hinterlands. The Senate met in a building heated by Hephaestus, surrounded by statues of Germanic legionaries, their names carved in Latin and in runes. The language of the court became a hybrid, a soft, guttural Latin that swallowed consonants and opened vowels. Now it is the year 784 CE, and a child named Alaricus sits in a cathedral school in Colonia Agrippina, modern Cologne. He is the son of a merchant who trades in furs and amber and something called book skins, which are vellum pages bound with leather, copied by monks in the new scriptoria that dot the northern forests. Alaricus is learning to read the same Virgil that Lucius Valerius Cordus read, but his Virgil has marginalia in a Germanic script called the Futhorc, adapted to write Latin phonetics. His teacher, a deacon named Roswitha, tells him that the empire now stretches from the shores of Hibernia to the mouths of the Vistula, and that beyond the Vistula live the Slavs, who pay tribute in honey and slaves. Alaricus asks her if the world is round. Some say it is a sphere, Roswitha answers. The emperor's navigators have sailed north of Britannia and found a frozen sea. They say if you go far enough west, you reach islands of crystal, but no one has returned to confirm it. The schoolroom smells of damp wool and lamp oil. Outside, the streets of Colonia Agrippina are paved with Roman stone, but the houses are half-timbered with carved beams shaped like serpents and bears. A watermill clatters on the Rhine, grinding grain for the legionary bakery. Alaricus hears the tramp of boots, a cohort of the Germania Secunda Legion marching past, their shields painted with the imperial eagle and the wolf of the Cherusei. The empire is old now, 775 years old from its founding, and it has not fallen. That night, Alaricus writes a letter to his cousin in Mediolanum. He tells her about the frozen sea. He tells her about the bear that was paraded through the forum last market day, a gift from the king of the Slavs. He signs his name in two scripts, Roman cursive on the left, runic on the right. He has no idea that in another world, none of these words would exist, that the forest he lives beside was once a graveyard for 3 legions, and that Arminius is remembered not as a rebel, but as a footnote, a chieftain who lost a battle and was forgotten. The empire endures. It does not conquer the world. The Americas remain untouched, their vast civilizations unknown. China is a rumor of silk and paper, filtered through Persian merchants. But Germania, that northern forest of legend, becomes the heart of a civilization that never broke. Rome did not fall. It simply moved north. It grew new bones. And somewhere in a stone house in Colonia Agrippina, a boy falls asleep to the sound of the legionary watch, calling the hour in Germanic accented Latin, the watermill groaning in the darkness, and the distant howl of wolves from forests that no longer hold any threat, because the eagles never left.